Hey guys, so today you and I are gonna talk about dead end jobs. So let's get into it. So the question in question was, Frederick, is software development really a dead end job after age 35? Oh god, I really hope not. Because that means that I'm gonna have to collect all my retirement money by just, like, what is it, 2 years? Something like that? That's gonna look really bad for me. Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you, I haven't really gotten the sensation that my manager is grinding the firing axe, or like, it's not like his trigger finger isn't really pointed against me in terms of who he's going to let go next. His trigger finger is very focused on me for the next guy who's going to get a promotion. Well, he really better, but not firing as far as I know. Maybe. I'm pretty socially inappropriate at times, so who knows. What I can tell you is that this idea that you're not going to see a return on investment, or that you're not going to get anything from being a software developer after age 35 is complete bullshit. It might be the case if you are in the most hipster, trendiest startup in Silicon Valley or wherever, where like they're only hiring people who are in between the ages of 8 and 14, and you're retiring with your millions in stock options by 15. Maybe. But for the vast majority of the world, that's not the case. When you reach 35, 40, like when you're getting to be a little bit older, at that point, I mean, it really doesn't matter to some companies. Don't give a shit how old you are, as long as you can do the work, because the fundamental thing is that being older does not mean that you are not going to be able to work in a specific company. The age thing is usually much of a more of an issue when you're getting to retirement age. And then, of course, if you have, and that's fairly natural, as you can imagine, if you have an entire company of 20 something people, or early 30s type of people, and you're in your 50s or like something like that, the value system might be an issue. That's the thing, right? I mean, shit, I'm 33 now, something like that. You will never find me hanging out with a bunch of 16-year-olds. I don't care if they want me to hang out with them. They have nothing to give to my life apart from a lot of very conflicting thoughts about what's happening with today's youth. And it's the same thing for you. If you're 35, 40 or something like that, and you're a software developer, and you try to go into a company where like there's a few 18-year-old guys working in a small startup, well, if they really like your personality, they're gonna hire you. If you're an old fart in their eyes, so like you don't really match in terms of values because you're in different places in your life, well, then maybe that's not the best environment for you to be in, because you're just going to annoy each other, or you're not going to be able to communicate effectively. That doesn't mean that there's no spot for you in software development after you're 35. I can tell you already that the odds are a lot higher that you will have a position of importance, of actual influence in software development when you're at that age. It's actually really, really rare to find people who are like really, really young in the really important positions at an earlier stage than at least 30, like somewhere around 30, or at the very, say, late 20s. That's where it starts usually. You're not going to find all that many 20, 21 something somethings who are, running the show or doing something like that. The thing that you should be looking out for, though, is your attitude towards your own personal growth. That's the thing that you really need to keep an eye on as you get older, because the idea is, for most of the industry, that the more senior you become, the more years you accumulate as a software developer. Well, that needs to translate into some type of value. And for a lot of developers, they don't understand that the bulk of your coding value is acquired within the first 5 to 10 years. You're going to get that experience by that time, most likely. It's actually extraordinarily rare to find that a developer who has 5 years of solid, now we're talking quality experience now, that person isn't able to code at an almost equal level to somebody who has 2 to 3, maybe 4 times that experience. Because it's not about, as I've said many times before, it's not about the time there's a finite amount of stuff to learn to do the normal grind of being a software developer, and you can learn all of these things to a very high degree, to basically master level within a few years. That doesn't mean that you know everything. It doesn't mean that you can't keep on pushing it, but it will give you the same sort of foundation as somebody who's been doing for 20 years. And if you do the same thing, it's like with lifting weights. If you start by working out and then you improve your weights until a certain point and then you stop improving them, well, you're still not going to get stronger. Even if you do it for 20 years, you're still going to stay at the same strength level, which means that somebody who progresses up to your level they're going to get to your level in the first 5 years, because you haven't changed in the last you haven't changed your routine since those first 5 years. That's the thing that's dangerous to you. That's the thing that will lead your career down to a dead-end job, or at the very least a risk position. The reason why it can become a risk position is because the trend is that the older you get, the more influence and experience you should be able to bring to the table. You can absolutely stay a coder for like up until retirement age. It's just that your market value will start to drop a little bit when you get to the closer to 50 and 55 and so forth. That doesn't mean that it's like the game is over if you get to that age. I have friends today who are still working just at the coder level, and they're getting close to 60 now. And if you're fine with taking that risk, then there's no problem. But if you want to be on the safe side, it's really important for you to nurture both the coding part of your career and the social aspects. The things that make you a good asset to any company, regardless of your age, is if you can join a very strong understanding for good technical engineering and business mindset. With those two blocks, the soft skills and the hard skills, if they are very developed within you as an individual, and you really just keep on paying attention as you go along, you will be able to run practically any IT company by the time you're 40. I can promise you that. So what I want you to take away from this is that no, software engineering is not a dead-end job just because you hit some magical age. It comes down to a combination that is much more of more complicated matters. If you are 35, 40 and you're trying to get into a really trendy startup where they're just trying to hire people that kind of reflect their own value system, well, probably it might be harder for you to get in there. But if you're like the most sociable grandpa in there if they've ever met, well, they're still gonna hire you because you're a fucking riot to be around. I promise you they will. I've seen it happen many times before, because that's the thing. It doesn't matter if you're 35 or 40. I mean, you're still going to be able to work there for way, way, way longer than you're not going to retire anytime soon. So there's going to be tons of value for keeping you around. But if you want to be on the safe side, what you should be doing is to continuously improve and evolve your skills. And it's not just the hard skills. It is both the hard skills and the soft skills, because what's important to any company, regardless of what company it is, it doesn't matter if it's Google or this tiny little startup down here, is to find people who, number one, fit the office culture, who's a good time to have around, and number two, can make the difference. And that's the question you have to ask yourself. Can you make the difference? Even if regardless of what that means, if it means building the software that is required, or it means understanding the business so well so that you can manage stakeholders and so forth, that's besides the point. Those are the skills that this industry is asking of you. These are the things that they are going to pay you for, and those are the things you need to focus on. And if you do so for the rest of your career, it doesn't really matter how old you get. You're going to be able to find quite a lot of opportunities, because that is the stuff that people are buying. Have a great day.